at Tulip Top Gardens just outside Canberra in Australia, and it's a beautiful time to visit. The garden's only open for 4 weeks a year, and it's springtime, everything is in bloom. It was great to come back to these gardens because I'd seen them many decades ago in the early stages of its development, and now you can see the hard work, the talents, the effort of the gardeners who transformed this paddock into this masterpiece, this beautiful garden. Now this garden had drawn thousands of people to come in and experience the beauty of this gardening creation. The Bible talks about us using our talents, and look, just as this garden brought great joy to many people from the gardeners using their talents, the Bible talks about the importance of us using the talents we've been entrusted with. And I'd like to share with you the parable of the talents, and that's found in Matthew 25:14-30. And from this parable, I just want to draw out 6 key lessons, 6 short insights that can impact us and our life and the way that we use our talents. Matthew 25:14-30. The parable of the talents. For it will be like a man going on a journey who called his servants and entrusted to them his property. To one he gave 5 talents, to another 2, and to another 1, to each according to his ability. Then he went away. He who had received the 5 talents went at once and traded with them, and made 5 talents more. So also he who had the 2 talents made 2 talents more. But he who had received the 1 talent went and dug in the ground and hid his master's money. Now after a long time, the master of those servants came and settled accounts with them. And he who had received the 5 talents came forward, bringing 5 talents more, saying, Master, you delivered to me 5 talents. Here, I have made 5 talents more. His master said to him, Well done, good and faithful servant. You've been faithful over a little. I will set you over much. Enter into the joy of your master. And he also, who had 2 talents, came forward, saying, Master, you delivered me 2 talents. Here, I've made 2 talents more. And his master said to him, Well done, good and faithful servant. You've been faithful over a little. I will set you over much. Enter into the joy of your master. He also, who had received 1 talent, came forward, saying, Master, I knew you to be a hard man, reaping where you did not sow, and gathering where you scattered no seed. So I was afraid, and I went and hid your talent in the ground. Here, you have what is yours. But his master answered him, You wicked and slothful servant, you knew I reap what I have not sown, and gathered where I scattered no seed? Then you ought to have invested my money with the bankers, and at my coming I should have received what was my own with interest. So take the talent from him, and give it to him who has the 10 talents. For to everyone who has will more be given, and he will have an abundance. But from the one who has not, even what he has will be taken away. And cast the worthless servant into the outer darkness. In that place there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Well, talents and tulips are quite different. If you bury a tulip bulb, it will emerge at some time in the right conditions with a beautiful flower. But talents are not to be buried, and that's, of course, a key insight from this story. So there's 6 key lessons we can learn from this story. The first one being that God has entrusted much responsibility to us, his servants. And the Bible talks about Jesus going away to prepare a place, and he has entrusted us with great responsibility. Verse 14 said that a man came and called his own servants and delivered his goods to them. And so God has delivered the world, the earth, everything that is created into our care. It's our responsibility. And he's given us a work to do, a responsibility of spreading the gospel commission. So he's entrusted to us much responsibility. The second key point is that this parable teaches us that God always gives us everything we need to do what he's called us to do. So God equips us for every good work. He entrusts us with talents, with skills, with ability, with resources to achieve the task that he set us to do. Number 3, the parable teaches us that we each have different ability. So do you remember from the story, from the parable that Jesus shared, one man he entrusted 5 talents, another 2 talents, and another 1. So God entrusts us responsibilities, talents, resources, each dependent on our ability. The 4th point is we work for God. He's our master. We don't work for our own selfish purposes. So in the parable, the master entrusts to the servants talents. It's not theirs to keep. They know there's a responsibility to do something with these talents and then return it back to the master on his return. And God has entrusted us talents, skills, resources, ability, and they're not to be used for our own selfish purpose, but they're to be used for God's glory, for his purpose, for his kingdom. Number 5, the parable of the talents shows that we'll be held accountable. And so just as the master went away, he came back and called his servants to account. And the Bible tells us that Jesus will return one day and he'll come with great glory. It'll be a magnificent moment, but we'll be called to account. He'll want to know, what did we do with the things that he entrusted us with? The last lesson, number 6 from this parable, is that there's serious consequences if we fail to make the most of what we've got. And in the parable, the servant who buried the talents, who was slothful, who was fearful, what he had was taken away and given to the servant who had the 10 talents. And so the insight here is we've got to use what we've been entrusted with. We'll be held accountable, and if we don't use what God's given us, it'll be taken away. Hope you've gained a blessing from this parable. God has entrusted us with so much. He's on our side. He's there and equipped us to do everything that he wants us to do. Who will you serve today? Will you serve the master, or will you serve your own selfish and fearful purposes? You know, we can have so much hope and encouragement from this parable that the Lord will return. The master has gone away for a time, but he will return. And in that time, he is helping us. He's given us resources to complete the work that we've been given. When the master returns, when Jesus returns, when he looks into your eyes, will he say, "Well done, my good and faithful servant"? Choose today to be that faithful servant.